On the following day at Kanglin Academy, Yi Xian and the group are shown immersed in deep meditation, while Jiang Chu addresses the curious visitors, gesturing towards the dedicated practitioners and informing them that if they join them and become a member of Kanglin Academy in the future, they will also have the opportunity to train with Yi Xian. The two children beamed with excitement upon witnessing this. One of them pointed at Yi Xian, while the other pointed out that there is also Anji, and that he is going to take a lot of lessons from her. Hearing this, one of the children's fathers expressed his unwavering commitment to enrolling his son in the academy to train with the national warrior, Yi Xian. His son, brimming with determination, assured his father that he would not disappoint him. With a mocking tone, the father turned to the other child's father, pointing out that the academy is supported by their financial resources and that the family of the other father is not as rich as his Zhang family. However, not one to be belittled, the other father retorted that the Zhang family was merely an empty shell and had no need to flaunt their wealth. Another individual chimed in, advising the others not to be arrogant, since no one can compete with him in terms of financial power. Unbeknownst to the squabbling group, Jiang Chu observed the situation from the sidelines. A sly smile graced her lips as she silently encouraged them to compete with each other, knowing that the more intense the rivalry, the greater the benefits for Kanglin. Drawing their attention, Jiang Chu informed them that there were still a few pieces of unused land on the side of Kanglin and graciously offered to show it to them. Hearing this, the three individuals beamed with excitement at the opportunity of buying land near the academy and building a house for the benefit of their future generations. Later that night, the group gathered in the Kanglin Academy's Great Hall. Jiang Chu revealed that they had sold 5 pieces of land that day, each fetching 30 million gold coins. After deducting her share of 30 million, the total revenue for the day stood at 120 million. Upon hearing this, Bai Zhe and Yi Xian beamed with satisfaction, praising the substantial earnings. Approaching Jiang Chu, Mu Yun expressed his admiration for her remarkable ability to amass such a sum in a single day. In response, Jiang Chu shrewdly pointed out that the 120 million gold coins represented only the revenue from land sales, excluding the associated costs of the academy visit or partnership fees. Shifting the conversation, Yi Xian inquired about the developments regarding the gold mine. Jiang Chu wasted no time in sharing the exciting news of the discovery of a promising gold mine that had the potential to yield hundreds of millions of gold coins. This revelation left Anji and the others in a state of disbelief, questioning whether they had heard correctly. Jiang Chu reaffirmed the information, and Mu Yun couldn't contain his enthusiasm, declaring that they were on the verge of newfound wealth. With a touch of nonchalance, Jiang Chu hinted that the others might not fully grasp the potential. She asserted her intention to accumulate even greater wealth in the future, suggesting they should patiently await her financial success. In response, Yi Xian entrusted her with the task, and Jiang assured him that she would handle it. Moments later, as Yi Xian prepared for sleep, his attention was abruptly drawn to the window. He voiced his curiosity about the identity of the person outside. In response, the 5th-floor master informed him that it was him. Upon hearing this, Yi Xian extended an invitation for him to enter. The elder entered at a deliberate pace, a case in hand, while revealing that he had a surprise for him. Yi Xian responded that he would be looking forward to it. The elder then opened the case and revealed the 5 Ming-rank swords inside. Impressed, Yi Xian expressed his satisfaction, remarking that the craftsmanship and sharpness appeared on par with the twin-blade swift shadow. The elder took out a cube and invited Yi Xian to take a look at it. As Yi Xian inspected the cube, the elder explained that it could increase the power and speed of his sword mastery by at least 30%. It was worth 2.6 billion gold coins, or rather 25 million pieces of extremely high-quality spirit stones, and he questioned if Yi Xian wanted it. Yi Xian answered that he indeed wanted it, but explained that he didn't have that much money. The elder acknowledged this and, therefore, explained that's why they were offering him the option of paying in installments. Curious, Yi Xian inquired further. The elder complied, explaining that every month, he would need to pay him at least 25 extremely high-quality spirit stones over a period of 3 years. In the midst of their conversation, both Yi Xian and the elder suddenly felt the unmistakable presence of an immense power outside. An urgent voice followed, urging Yi Xian to come out. As Yi Xian and the elder emerged, his brow furrowed with concern, and he turned to the others for an explanation. With a sense of foreboding, Yi Xian observed the group standing together, their eyes fixed on the distant thunderstorm raging in the dark of the night. Mu Yun, with a pointed finger, urged Yi Xian to look at the strange light in the distance. Yi Xian shifted his gaze toward the roaring thunderstorm, his eyes widening as he witnessed a colossal bolt of lightning striking down from the heavens. He wondered aloud, questioning what he was witnessing and suggesting that it resembled a sword light. With a stern expression, the fifth-floor master provided insight, noting that it should be at the extreme south of Qingzhou. He confirmed Yi Xian's guess, stating that it was indeed a ray of sword light. Mu Yun voiced his thoughts, emphasizing the immense pressure exuded by the sword light, capable of shaking the heavens and the earth. He speculated if there might be a sword master of high caliber, much like Yi Xian's master. The elder denied this, explaining that for such power to shake the heavens and the earth, it must be extraordinary. He suggested that only heavenly rank spiritual weapons possessed this kind of power, and it was undoubtedly a sword. Yi Xian inquired whether the sword in question was of heavenly rank. The elder confirmed this, elaborating that heavenly rank stood above true rank, and even obtaining a true rank spirit weapon was a rare occurrence in Qingzhou. A heavenly rank, however, was even rarer, not only in Qingzhou but throughout the Middle Kingdom. Anji pondered aloud, questioning why, if it was so rare, it appeared so prominently, especially after the war. Sensing something amiss, Mu Yun expressed his belief that something peculiar was going on. Curious, Yi Xian asked why he thought that. Mu Yun admitted uncertainty but maintained his belief that it wasn't a simple matter. Anji chimed in, expressing her agreement with Mu Yun's perspective. Just as the tension reached its peak, Miss Lu entered the scene and confidently proclaimed her belief that it was a conspiracy against Yi Xian by Kangmu Academy, the Great Cloud Empire, and the Dark World. Puzzled, Yi Xian questioned if it was genuinely aimed at him. Miss Lu responded with conviction, stating that there was no way a heavenly ranked spiritual weapon could be found in Qingzhou. Even if there were, it wouldn't appear so conspicuously to alert the world. Therefore, she deduced that someone must have intentionally orchestrated this. With a funny expression, Yi Xian shrugged and speculated if they were trying to lure him alone. Miss Lu confirmed this, emphasizing that it was a trap they had intentionally set. With a perplexed expression, Yi Xian mused aloud about their motivation, pondering if they believed he would be lured in by the sword. Wearing a knowing smile, Miss Lu pointed out their willingness to reveal a heavenly sword to entice him, suggesting that it indicated his significant value to them. She proposed that in such a case, he could consider doing them a favor by accepting the valuable sword. Anji disagreed, asserting that it was a trap and that, no matter how good that sword was, it wasn't worth risking his life for. Mu Yun and Bai Zhe echoed her sentiments, noting that there were plenty of good swords available, and this one wasn't worth the danger. Miss Lu weighed the options, acknowledging that it was both a trap and an opportunity. She emphasized that if Yi Xian didn't make a move, their adversaries would likely act soon. With the expansion of his family, she pointed out that more people needed his protection, and he couldn't hide from them. In response, Yi Xian inquired if she was suggesting that he should go. Miss Lu confirmed her suggestion, stating that their adversaries harbored a deep grudge, and they wouldn't rest easily. She proposed the possibility of a surprise attack, highlighting that it wasn't impossible to overcome them. However, Anji expressed concerns, noting that the recent war had already drained much of their energy, making it a formidable challenge to face another battle. Wearing a confident smile, Miss Lu questioned why they should be afraid. She pointed out that the enemy had set up a trap, and therefore suggested that they should counter with a plan of their own. Hearing this, Yi Xian showed interest in her suggestion. Miss Lu clarified the situation, explaining that after Lan Ren's death in the previous encounter, the enemy wouldn't risk deploying someone at the Dharma Realm or the peak of the Dharma Realm to confront him again. She highlighted 3 possible scenarios in which they might use the heavenly sword to lure him. First, she suggested they might intend to eliminate him with the help of individuals from the demon list of the Middle Kingdom. Second, Miss Lu continued, proposing that there could be a formation or boundary set up to suppress him. Intrigued, Mu Yun inquired about the third possibility. With a smile, Miss Lu revealed that they might be planning to kill him with the sword, leaving the others visibly shocked by this notion. In disbelief, Yi Xian wondered if the sword could indeed kill him. The elder explained that the heavenly sword was crafted from the energy of heaven and earth, possessing spirit and intelligence. It was also known as the sword spirit. If it pretended to accept him as its master and then turned against him at a critical moment, the elder speculated that he wouldn't survive. Yi Xian pondered, concluding that the Lingxiu sword currently couldn't consume a heavenly ranked sword. If the heavenly sword backfired, Yi Xian realized he would have no way to defend against it. Despite this, he noted that a single heavenly sword was worth billions, and if he could obtain it, he could address his urgent needs. With this line of thought, Yi Xian questioned the others why he should be compelled to follow the enemy's plan, and why he shouldn't explore the alternative. Seeking clarification, Mu Yun asked what Yi Xian meant by alternative. On the other hand, Bai Zai inquired if he really wanted to go. Yi Xian answered confidently with a smile, stating that he saw no reason not to go and declared his full confidence in prevailing over their adversaries. He playfully bumped fists with Mu Yun, suggesting they should both remain vigilant. In a light-hearted tone, Mu Yun teased Yi Xian, asking if he wanted to wish them success in advance. Yi Xian replied with a hint of humor, stating that it wasn't impossible, given their strength. Anji expressed her discontent at their carefreeness, remarking that there was much misfortune looming in the future. She added a sarcastic comment about her relief that the others could find humor in the situation. With a determined look, Anji urged them not to waste time and departed, leaving the group behind. As everyone watched Anji leave, Mu Yun commented on her strictness, and Bai Zai added that she was simply concerned about their safety. With a confident smile, Yi Xian indicated to the others that it was time to make their move. Meanwhile, at the Kangmu Academy of the Great Cloud Empire, Xian Qing gazed at the sword stuck on the plaque of their academy, a reminder of their previous humiliation. At that moment, a voice called out from behind him. One of his subordinates informed him that Yi Xian had already left Kanglin Academy. He added that Yi Xian had headed towards the extreme south of Qingzhou and had suddenly disappeared after reaching that region, with their men lost as well. Xian Qing accepted this with a hint of bitterness, acknowledging that Yi Xian had become a sword master, and their loss wasn't surprising. Despite this, he concluded that it didn't matter, speculating that Yi Xian must be searching for the heavenly sword. He then ordered his subordinate to notify the king's assistant of the Great Cloud Empire and the Dark Realm that it was time to begin. With a hint of skepticism, the subordinate questioned if the king's assistant could genuinely put an end to the heartless Yi Xian. In response, Xian Qing explained that the Great Cloud Empire had once been the mightiest in Qizhou, but it had started to weaken. As the empire teetered on the brink of collapse, it was the king's assistant who came to the rescue and saved the kingdom. Wearing a sinister smile, Xian Qing questioned how someone of that caliber could fail to handle Yi Xian. Mimicking Xian Qing's sinister grin, the subordinate speculated that Yi Xian would certainly meet his end this time. Meanwhile, at the royal palace of the Great Cloud Empire, an unusual scene played out. Seated on the throne was a child, accompanied by a woman cloaked in black attire. The child, who was none other than the Great Cloud Empire's king, extended a call to the girl, addressing her as his sister. Intrigued, the girl in the black garment, revealed to be Lian Wanli, a high-ranking leader, responded with a questioning tone. The king, known as Da Yun, pondered the situation and questioned his sister about why he should become the enemy of the Jiang kingdom, which lay at a considerable distance from their Great Cloud Empire, with no apparent conflicts of interest. In response, Wanli asserted that their Great Cloud Empire had no fear of the royal family of Jiang, and considered them unworthy of attention. Pointing at the map representing the territory of Qingzhou, Wanli asked the young king on who he believed posed the greatest threat to their Great Cloud Empire. Da Yun replied with uncertainty, suggesting it might be the two countries of Chu and Yu. However, Wanli responded that they were not the true threat. Inquisitive, Da Yun questioned who that threat was. With a calculating smile, Wanli answered that it was Kangmu Academy, the Dark World, and the numerous ancient families of the Great Cloud Empire. Puzzled, Da Yun then questioned why she had made a promise to Kangmu and the Dark World to kill Yi Xian of the Jiang Kingdom. He pointed out that their Great Cloud Empire had lost hundreds of Black Flame Cavalry because of this. In response, Wanli acknowledged the Black Flame Cavalry as a formidable army but noted that it had been corrupted by Kangmu Academy, the Dark World, and other forces. Given this corruption, she concluded that the army would not remain loyal to the Great Cloud Empire. Approaching the young king, Wanli questioned him on his opinion about Yi Xian. In response, Da Yun described Yi Xian as a man willing to live and die for his country, a first-class talent. He suggested that if they became friends with him, they could trust him. However, if they choose to make an enemy out of him, they should do whatever it takes to eliminate him. Concluding her inquiry, Wanli asked Da Yun if he wanted to be Yi Xian's enemy or friend. Da Yun replied that he preferred to be friends with Yi Xian. With what appeared to be a sinister smile, Wanli questioned the reason behind his choice. Responding with a joyful smile, Da Yun explained that he didn't have a deadly feud with Yi Xian, nor did they have any conflicting interests. He added that it was not in the Great Cloud Empire's interest to be an enemy of Yi Xian. By befriending him, the Great Cloud Empire would have a trusted ally, and they could also meet the Sword Immortal behind him. In response, Wanli praised her brother for making a valid point. Given his sister's agreement, Da Yun proposed that they should be friends with Yi Xian. Prompted by this, Wanli called for the subordinates to issue orders, summoning the major families to travel to the far south, with the mission to encircle and eliminate Yi Xian. The subordinates acknowledged her orders, surprising Da Yun. Amidst the desolate, snowy wilderness in the remote south of Qingzhou, the spotlight of attention focused on the solitary figures of the Dark Lord and Xianqing. The Dark Lord expressed doubt, asking if Xianqing was certain this time. In response, Xianqing outlined the plan with conviction, explaining that the forbidden spirit formation concealed beneath the ground had the ability to confine Yi Xian's energy, rendering his sword useless. He emphasized that despite Yi Xian's formidable physical strength, the absence of his sword would significantly reduce his overall power, potentially by more than 50%. The Dark Lord expressed his determination, stating that as long as they could bring about Yi Xian's demise, the considerable investment of 500 gold coins and 10 million spirit stones into setting up the formation, as well as securing the heavenly sword from the Middle Kingdom, would not go to waste. Wearing a serious expression, Xianqing inquired about the current whereabouts of their target. With his eyes closed, the Dark Lord responded, indicating that Yi Xian should be en route to their location. Suddenly detecting a presence, the Dark Lord's gaze sharpened as he directed his attention toward a specific direction. Noticing the Dark Lord's reaction, Xianqing questioned what was wrong. Shifting his gaze to the side, Xianqing spotted a cloaked figure, concluding that it was the person they were waiting for. Upon Xianqing's signal, the Dark Lord swiftly vanished from his position, and Xianqing instructed the rest of his group to prepare. Seemingly smiling from behind the mask, the cloaked figure slowly approached the formation but abruptly stopped just before stepping on it. Xianqing observed this with a puzzled look, wondering why the cloaked figure was not attempting to leave. The cloaked figure then sat on the ground, causing Xianqing to wonder what the cloaked figure was up to. To Xianqing's surprise, the Dark Lord returned, informing him that something was amiss with the situation. Hearing this, Xianqing advised the Dark Lord to bring someone to test the cloaked figure. However, just as the Dark Lord was about to leave, Xianqing prompted him to wait. The cloaked figure slowly revealed his face, playfully mocking them as Mu Yun noted that he might not be the one they were waiting for and questioned if they were surprised. Recognizing Mu Yun, the Dark Lord mentioned that he was one of Yi Xian's followers and questioned their next course of action. Xianqing responded with extreme frustration, ordering his subordinates to immediately withdraw the formation and rush back to Kongmu Academy. Changing the scene to the Great Cloud Kongmu Academy, the sound of a scream echoed as a cloaked figure cut down one of the disciples at the gate. The figure then warned the disciples that if they didn't want to die, they should get out of the way. With arrogance evident on their faces, one of the disciples declared that since the cloaked figure, whom they concluded was Yi Xian, wanted to die, they would gladly grant his wish. Without hesitation, the entire group of disciples charged toward the cloaked figure, vocalizing their intent to kill Yi Xian. In response, the cloaked figure readied their sword and expressed reluctance to kill them but pointed out that they were asking for it. With swift and instantaneous precision, the cloaked figure instantly made their way behind them, and all of the disciples simultaneously fell to the ground. The cloaked figure then shifted their attention to a specific direction, sensing the arrival of Xianqing and the Dark Lord. Xianqing noted that they had arrived in time and concluded that Yi Xian hadn't had time to do anything yet. However, as they noticed the cloaked figure whom they assumed was Yi Xian, the cloaked figure removed her mask and her cloak, revealing herself to be Anji as she greeted the dean of Kangmu Academy. Perplexed, Xian Qing questioned the whereabouts of Yi Xian, asking Anji to let him out and questioning what kind of tricks they are playing. However, with a mocking tone, Anji replied that tonight she is Yi Xian. Hearing this, the image of the heavenly sword flashed in Xian Qing's mind, realizing it was their goal all along. As Anji watched them rush back to the heavenly sword, she smiled mockingly while remarking that they finally got it right. Going back to half an hour ago in the wilderness of the far south of Qizhou, one of the disciples rushed the others to withdraw the formation so they could go back to Kangmu Academy to provide their support. However, another disciple suddenly urged the others to wait. As he gazed at the distant figure, a realization slowly dawned upon the disciple, recognizing that it was Yi Xian. One of the disciples inquired, puzzled by Yi Xian's presence, assuming that he was supposed to be at Kangmu Academy. Another disciple questioned what they should do next, knowing that the big formation had already been withdrawn, and they had no way to suppress him anymore. However, another disciple stepped up, pointing out that all of them were at the level of a secluded realm, and therefore questioned why they should be afraid of Yi Xian. With this realization, another disciple encouraged the others to kill Yi Xian, and another disciple agreed, questioning the point of being afraid of Yi Xian and urging the others to follow along in killing him. As they all charged at him, one of the disciples instructed the others to guard the heavenly rank sword and not let Yi Xian get close to it. In reaction to this, Yi Xian smiled as he conjured the golden figures from his case. One of the disciples attacked one of the figures with his sword. However, to his astonishment, the disciple realized that the golden figure remained unscathed despite his cultivation at the level of the secluded realm, and wondered what kind of monster it was. Emanating an aura of imminent danger, the golden figure poised for an attack, and with unparalleled swiftness and precision, the golden figure's hand shot out, gripping the disciple's throat. Watching this from a distance, the other disciples stood in stunned silence, their eyes wide with fear and awe as one of them pointed out that their fellow disciple was a strong person at the level of the secluded realm, but was easily crushed to death. Yi Xian then gave them a warning to get out of the way, otherwise they would be next. Hearing this, the rest of the disciples ran for their lives, remarking that the golden figures were monsters. Watching this, Yi Xian noted that Xian Qing's tactics were not good enough. Gazing at the heavenly sword before him, Yi Xian smiled in anticipation. With cautious steps, Yi Xian approached the heavenly ranked sword. As he drew closer, the thunder surrounding the sword crackled with increasing aggression. Yi Xian's eyes widened as he realized that the thunder strikes were now targeting him directly, causing him to mutter at the disadvantageous situation. Thinking swiftly, Yi Xian took out his sword before directing a slash of qi at the approaching thunders. Despite successfully dissipating its attack, Yi Xian marveled at the sword's display of power. With determination, he commanded the golden figures to bring the heavenly rank sword to him. The golden figure moved slowly, undeterred by the thunder strikes directed at them as they maintained their steady pace. Observing this, Yi Xian couldn't help but celebrate, realizing that his plan was indeed working. With the sword close to its proximity, the golden figure reached its hand to take the heavenly sword. Showing some form of resistance, the sword momentarily shivered before soaring up above, attempting to escape from their grasp. Seeing this, Yi Xian immediately instructed the golden figures to catch the sword and not let it get away. The golden figures complied without hesitation, grabbing the sword at the tip as Yi Xian instructed them to hold on. He then transferred them all inside the boundless prison tower, noting that the sword wouldn't be able to escape from it even if it wanted to. However, the heavenly rank sword remained defiant as it attempted to find ways to escape. Despite this, Yi Xian remained determined to suppress the sword. The heavenly rank sword directed a thundershock at the boundless prison tower. Seeing this, Yi Xian concluded that even the boundless prison tower couldn't suppress the heavenly rank sword. However, to Yi Xian's surprise, one of the three swords from above the tower suddenly made its presence known to the raging heavenly rank sword, causing it to tremble in fear. Seeing this, Yi Xian smiled as he reminded the sword of his claim that the boundless prison tower could indeed suppress it, knowing that it was capable of suppressing even the great demon of the second floor. After exiting the tower, Yi Xian smiled as he addressed the waiting Mu Yun, revealing that he had already obtained the sword and inquired about the situation on his side. Mu Yun replied with a smile, revealing that the battlefield had already been cleaned up and more than 40 pieces of extremely high-quality spiritual weapons had been obtained from their enemies. Additionally, there are also 300 million gold coins, 300,000 top-quality spirit stones, and a number of other miscellaneous items. Hearing this, Yi Xian concluded that it was a good harvest, and invited him to go. In response, Mu Yun praised their plan for being able to fool those individuals from Kangmu Academy. Yi Xian replied, noting that there is something even more fun waiting for them. Hearing this, Mu Yun expressed his excitement about it. Returning to the far south of Qinzhou, Xianqing and the Dark Lord were greeted by the crows feasting on the bodies of the disciples of the Kangmu Academy. Seeing the situation, the Dark Lord concluded that Yi Xian had already taken the sword and questioned their next move. Xianqing replied, noting that he borrowed the heavenly rank sword from the Middle Kingdom Divine State and that even if he sold his academy, he would still not be able to pay for it. Hearing this, the Dark Lord reminded him about the mystery contained in the sword and suggested giving it a try. With an uncertain expression, Xianqing concluded that it was the only way. With his two hands raised with a peculiar gesture, Xianqing surrounded himself in a vortex of qi. Watching from the side, the Dark Lord questioned the reason for Xianqing's uncertain expression. Xianqing replied, revealing that he couldn't feel the heavenly ranked sword, adding that it was as if it had disappeared from the continent. The Dark Lord took this as good news, pointing out that it proved that Yi Xian hadn't subdued the heavenly ranked sword yet. He suggested that as soon as it is collected and used, Xianqing would be able to kill Yi Xian with the sword's skill. However, Xianqing remarked that they had underestimated Yi Xian. He mentioned that being able to take away the heavenly rank sword was already enough to prove that in the land of Qinzhou, he was already invincible. Meanwhile, after traveling a distance thanks to the help of their mount, Mu Yun questioned Yi Xian for his reason for stopping abruptly. Yi Xian replied, instructing Mu Yun to take the spoils of war and return to the imperial capital first. He emphasized that all of it should be given to Miss Lu, who would handle its distribution. Curious, Mu Yun inquired about Yi Xian's next steps. In response, Yi Xian informed him that he is planning to go to the Great Cloud Empire. Mu Yun expressed concern, advising Yi Xian not to be reckless. He emphasized that the most important thing Yi Xian needed to do was to focus on developing his strength. However, Yi Xian explained his decision, pointing out that he had been repeatedly targeted, and they believed he was easy to bully, and therefore he felt the need to go and put an end to this situation. Mu Yun voiced his apprehension, expressing his concern about Yi Xian's decision, considering it quite risky. In response, Yi Xian elucidated his rationale, explaining that his previous reluctance to take action was rooted in his concerns for Kanglin Academy. However, he added that the academy was now on a promising trajectory, even in his absence, and could continue to thrive. Despite Yi Xian's explanation, Mu Yun remained persistent in his doubts. Yet Yi Xian offered reassurance, vowing to return promptly. Back at Kanglin Academy, Miss Lu inquired about the collective opinion on Yi Xian's solo journey to the Great Cloud Empire. In reply, Mu Yuan shared his viewpoint, emphasizing that he found Yi Xian's decision somewhat impulsive. He stressed that the current priorities were the development of Kanglin Academy and the enhancement of Yi Xian's own strength. He harbored concerns that venturing to the Great Cloud Empire at this juncture might invite trouble. In light of Mu Yuan's concerns, the group collectively echoed the word trouble, expressing a sense of uncertainty. Hearing this, Miss Lu posed a rhetorical question, pondering whether they believed there would be no trouble if Yi Xian chose not to go. Miss Lu acknowledged the gravity of the situation, noting that Kanglin Academy, Kangmu Academy, and the Dark World were locked in a life-and-death struggle. She expressed the belief that if Dean Ji had not fallen, there might have been hope for improvement. However, while sipping her tea, Miss Lu continued her observations, remarking that the new dean's character left no room for resolving the issues amicably. Addressing the two elders, Miss Lu advised against nurturing thoughts of reconciliation, underlining that such endeavors could imperil the future of Confucianism and Yi Xian, a viewpoint understood by Kangmu Academy and the Dark World. In response, Mu Yuan assured that Confucianism had evolved and would not rigidly adhere to old principles. He emphasized their readiness for reasoned discourse but also their preparedness for battle when necessary. Hearing this, Miss Lu acknowledged his stance. Addressing the group, Miss Lu observed that, with the exception of Jiang Chu, their collective strength was still lacking. She pointed out that Dean Yi had already created a noticeable disparity in terms of power. She stressed that unless they could bridge this gap, some of them might continue to drift further from him. Mu Yun, seemingly offering an explanation, acknowledged this reality, noting that Yi Xian's strength had been rapidly advancing, making it challenging for them to catch up. With her eyes closed, Miss Lu made an announcement. She declared that starting from that day, except for Anji and Jiang Chu, Bai Zhe and Mu Yun would be included in the training with her Kanglin Academy Taoist soldiers. In response, both Bai Zhe and Mu Yun expressed simultaneous surprise, questioning whether it was necessary for them to join. Miss Lu confirmed their inclusion, highlighting that relying solely on the Dean for their battles wouldn't suffice. Continuing her statement, Miss Lu brought up another crucial matter: Kanglin Academy's impending entry into the Great Cloud Empire. Upon hearing this, Anji inquired about their intentions to expand their presence in the Great Cloud territory. Miss Lu clarified that their objective wasn't to claim the Great Cloud territory itself. Instead, she explained that the reason for entering that region was to prepare for significant changes expected when their dean ventured there. She emphasized the importance of being ready to support him during this transformative period.